I don't take nothing that a doctor don't prescribe. I just take Paxil, Xanax, Zoloft, Flomax, morphine, Valtrex, Flonase, Plavix, codeine, Zyrtec, Zoma, Zantac, Ultram, Zocor, Zipro, Prozac, dopamine, Demerol, Lexapro, Tylenol, Vicodin, Lyrica, Lipitor, and Adderall, but I don't do no drugs, man.
All right. Well, hi, Haleigh.
Hello, it's so good to be here.
Good. I'm so glad you joined us again. Thank you for doing this. Um, I guess what we'll do is we'll just start start talking about this total gut job program and what it has done for you. And I want
Mhm.
to start with this question. Um, what what symptoms were you struggling with
Mhm.
before you did the total gut job program?
I had a lot of symptoms going on, widespread pain, bloating. I had gotten down to where I could only eat just a couple of things without reacting. I had severe nausea, sleep problems, ringing in my ears, floaters, within my vision, and just really significant, I would say, in pain overall. And just really wanted to get rid of that.
Was it like joint pain, muscle pain, combination?
Joint pain mainly.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, we see a lot of that. Um, and so how are these symptoms impacting your life from a
Mhm.
quality of life perspective, daily basis? What was that? How's
Yeah,
it
yeah.
impacting you?
Well, whenever I would have, like, a flare where it would worsen, it was never to the point where it was, like, low enough where it was gone or not noticeable, but when it would flare, sometimes I would have to rearrange my schedule for work, or if I would work, I wouldn't have really many things going on outside of work. I would just have to lay down, rest, take a magnesium bath, just focus on just recharging. In my day maybe only would look like 5 to 6 hours of work, and it would almost mimic as if I'd had like a 15-hour work
Yeah.
day. And so it was very time consuming, and so I think that was a big motivation, just aside from just how it made me feel, but just to feel like I was in my early 30s and my life was kind of like shrinking in certain ways.
Yeah, your symptoms were dictating your life,
Hmm.
which is
Very
often
much
the
so.
case, you know?
Hmm.
And so had you tried anything prior to the total gut job to address these issues?
Yes, I had been a part of a couple of different, like, functional medicine, practices that had these approaches, but I don't feel like they were the best fit for me. I like to know the why of things, which is why I really liked the gut job. I was able to look on each of the bottles and read through the book and really see like what we were doing with this gut job. Whereas some of the past experiences I had, it was kind of like I felt a little blindfolded through it. I could never really grasp like what we were doing, how close we were getting. And so I really appreciated just all of the testing in the gut job because I was able to stay focused on what I was doing, but also look back to say, wow, in 15 days, I've done this. In 45 days, I've done this. And to just see how like my day to day was getting better, but also to watch those numbers lower because my numbers were quite high.
Yes. And when you say testing, you mean like the questionnaires so that you can
Yes.
track your progress. Because
Hmm. Hmm.
sometimes it's different on paper when you're, you know,
Yeah.
um, checking things off versus, how you feel. Sometimes you don't always notice those improvements until you look at
Absolutely.
where you came, and you're
Yes.
scoring yourself.
Yes.
I
My
love.
candida was my highest score, and it was
Okay,
253.
that's probably the highest we've
Yeah,
ever had, actually.
it was a lot.
So congratulations, Haleigh. You are the
Thank
winner
you.
of the highest Candida score. Um, wow, that's impressive. And so you
Yes,
got to see that go down in real
very.
time.
Yes, it went down to a 6.
That is
Mhm.
incredible. And that makes me so
Mhm.
happy
Yeah.
when I see these success stories, it's just like, okay, it just kind of recharges me.
Yeah.
And, it's like, okay, Amy, this is why you do what you do,
Mhm. Mhm.
you're helping people. Um,
Yes.
so what um did you have any concerns or reservations, hesitations about doing the total gut job before you did it?
Not about the gut job itself. I think it was more internally for me that I had to work through because it's like I had gone through the Western medicine for so long and just had been told I had these autoimmune disorders and they just wanted to prescribe pain medications and sleep meds. And I denied all of those because I just felt like there was something different, a different way to approach it. And so I think I had to kind of work through my own process of, okay, I've done all these other things and gotten my hopes up and gotten excited, like there's going to be some healing and some relief. And I kind of had to just like let myself be hopeful about this. I had gone through a lot of prayer about just the next steps. And I kept coming back to your page and your information. Feel like I built a lot of trust with the things that you were posting about and talking about. I could see your heart in it. And so I just kind of had to let myself just like jump in and do it well.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'm glad I came across that way because it really is, I
Yeah.
think most people once they meet me, realize that I absolutely do mean what I say, and
Yeah.
I'm not here just to sell people stuff. I
Yeah.
I want I want to see people healed and living
100%.
and having a better quality of life. Because I've been where you are, and
Mhm.
I know, just wow, life shouldn't be like that. You know,
Yeah.
and so there's got to be something else. And I was in the same shoes you were
Mhm.
in with the whole mainstream
Mhm.
medicine approach that was getting me nowhere and actually making
Mhm.
matters worse. And
Mhm.
yay, 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 yay. Well, um, I'm glad you took the plunge. And
Mhm.
so, what was the first improvement that you noticed?
Probably my sleep. I could sleep for 10 hours and wake up exhausted. And for years. It was very unexplainable. And I obviously, couldn't just stay in bed. I had to get up, go to work, do my day. But then it was like, I was starting from an empty tank. And I feel like it was probably within the first 10 days, if I had to guess from what I remember, because it was a notable difference really quick that I remembered it. So being able to like have restful sleep. I would never wake up during the night when I would have these restless nights. I would just wake up feeling depleted. And I woke up feeling so energized. I started, waking up earlier. And it kind of gave me this room to just create these healthy habits of getting out. I would walk every morning and night, get in the sun. I remember you had asked me how much sun I got during the day. And I realized, I had gone from an outdoor job to an indoor job and not really made any adjustments to my life. And I realized, wow, my like sun exposure has plummeted. And so I was really intentional about getting back out into the sun and walking. And that just, furthered my progress, I
Yeah.
feel like.
A good night's sleep is everything.
Yes.
I mean, it will change your life. And it
Hmm.
obviously had that impact on you because it's just
Hmm.
like a motivation to like, all right, I feel better when I wake up. I feel like doing these things now. Um,
Absolutely.
so the sleep was the first thing you noticed. And so you said it happened like within about 10 days, you feel looking
Hmm.
back at it. Okay. So that was quick, you know.
Very.
10 days is quick. I know people
Hmm.
want it to happen quicker sometimes.
Yeah.
But that I would say is that happened quickly for you. Um, was there a particular breakthrough moment during this program or after the program that stood out to you? Like, Was there a lab result that changed significantly? Was there some type of huge symptom improvement, or was there a mindset change? What was there some, moment that you were like, oh, this program is
Mhm.
working, or this new way of looking at my gut health and
Mhm.
lifestyle is really where it's
Sure, sure. Yeah, I would say probably at my 30-day mark because it's in my book constantly. I have it sitting right in front of me. I still reference it, I still use it. It's been just a staple for me. And at the 30-day mark, it starts talking about, the reintroduction of different foods. And I just had felt like, for me personally, I had been ill for so long. I started having these mystery symptoms in 2015, and I started the program in July of 2024. So it'd been a long time of just illness for me. So my numbers weren't quite where I wanted them to be. And I was seeing so much progress that I'm like, I'm going to keep going and staying on phase one. I just didn't feel like I wanted to shift into phase two
yeah.
yet. And so I think I was already convinced, but just even seeing this like idea of, okay, instead of going into the next phase, I'm going to stick with phase one to see how much I can draw these numbers down and keep going. I was just so energized, just emotionally from it of like, this is working. So much joy kind of just came from, some of these symptoms in my life kind of growing again, but then also just, the belief in how much it's been helping me. So I think that 30-day mark, I just kind of, I guess, bought into it,
Uh-huh.
and just kind of kept locking
Yeah.
in with phase one and kept on going.
Yeah, a lot of people choose to do the same thing you did. Just we're eliminating the foods that are commonly causing people problems for a variety of
Yeah.
reasons. And
Mhm.
when you don't eat those and you're feeling so much better, some people just say like,
Mhm.
all right, I'm just going to extend this phase and stay off them a little
Mhm.
bit longer before I start
Mhm.
reintroducing them. Um, and that's always okay to do that.
Mhm.
Um, we encourage everybody to listen to their body
Yeah.
and just take it at the speed that you feel like you need to go. Um, well, good. So what do you think, what symptom improvement has had the biggest impact on your life?
Mm.
What would you say?
Pro- Probably the food insensitivities or
Okay.
sensitivities,
Uh-huh.
because I had gotten to where it almost felt like I would be fine with a certain food and then the next week I wouldn't. And so it felt very limiting. And then if you add, the pain, the bloating, the exhaustion, the nausea on top of that, I just didn't really want to eat anyways, but then I'd feel worse if I didn't eat.
Right.
So it's just kind of this, grouping of things.
Yeah.
And so just being able to have a little bit more freedom with being able to, eat healthy things. Just, I wasn't limited to where I could like only eat eggs. It's like, oh, I can eat chicken, I can eat beef and not have these reactions,
Yeah.
to where I would be eating cleaner than like anybody I knew and still just like on the couch in pain afterwards, reacting
Oh.
until I started the gut job.
And that is so, we see that a lot. People are eating so clean. And like you said,
Mhm.
everybody else around them is like eating junk and they're doing fine. But you're the
Right.
one that's eating like what we've been told we need to eat and how to eat, yet still
Yes.
struggling. And I think that's where the total gut job really does a good job. It just supports the digestive capacity that has been
Yeah.
lacking for so long, and really trying rebalancing the microbiome, removing what the gut, even though it may be good, it may not be good for you. And so,
Right.
that's what we're trying to determine too. Everybody's so different. Um, so, what do you think is the biggest thing you've learned about your health through this
Mm,
process?
that's a good question. I feel like I've learned my body so much. I was kind of thinking about like my arsenal that I kind of keep on hand. And I have a couple of the supplements that I keep on hand because I've learned, just if I go out to eat, I live in a tourist area now. And so if I have friends and family that come visit, they want to go to the, beachy restaurant. So I'm like, let's go. I'll make sure that I have my BioBalance with me and, I'll make sure that I, do the best that I can. But it's helpful to know that like I don't have to like bring my food in like a Tupperware thing, that like I can go, I can enjoy a meal with my loved ones and have these like supportive supplements to use because it's not an everyday thing for me at all. But it's nice to just feel just that, that I can do that.
Yeah.
So being able to just like know my body and just kind of know what it needs, know when it's at capacity, know, I'm still at the point where I kind of will tighten things up and then reintroduce later. I had some mold exposures. And so I've had a little bit of some regression, but I'm, reincorporating all of these total gut job tools because I know that they work.
Yeah.
And whenever I did the gut job in 2024, I had gotten out of a mold home that I had been in for a couple of years. I think probably 3-ish years I had been in it with the mold present. And so just knowing that it was just a huge catalyst of like helping me in that. So not at all feel like I'm tied to doing the gut job all the time, but I've set it down and picked parts of it up
Yeah.
as I've needed to just kind of help me continue on. It's been a big foundational piece for me.
Yeah, that it's interesting you brought up the mold because I mean, no wonder your candida score was so high living in a
Mhm.
moldy home. And we see that so often, especially with food sensitivities develop because of
Mhm.
that. And I've worked with other mold illness patients who have gotten out of that situation, and we've been able to rehabilitate their GI tracts
Mhm.
after such a huge insult. And it
Mm.
doesn't take that much. It doesn't take these extensive detox strategies and all of that. It really does come down to foundational um, digestive principles, just knowing how the
Mhm.
GI tract works and assisting it as needed to just kind of do what it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
It's been so rewarding to see people come back from that so quickly
Mhm.
because those are major insults. When you're exposed to
Yeah.
mold, that man, that it can be so toxic for certain people and can take
Yeah.
a long time to get past it. But I feel like our Total Gut Job program has helped a lot of people get back
Mhm.
to feeling better really quickly compared to a lot
That's
of
awesome.
other things out there, myself included. Um,
Mhm.
so was there anything that surprised you when you went through the
Yes.
process?
Yes. So my mom ended up doing the gut job as well. And
Oh,
I've had some other, family members I've known that have done it. And it's interesting to see like how you can line up like different people with different lifestyles, different, symptoms, and they all get good results. My mom lost 12 inches in the first week.
hold on, hold
Just in,
on. Okay.
yeah,
Obviously, a lot of inflammation. Like that was a
yeah,
lot of fluid retention
yeah,
from being so
yeah.
inflamed.
Yeah, and all she did was, she ate pretty clean too. I think the one thing that she quit eating was dairy, and then, just from the list, she didn't do most of the other things, and then, she ordered the gut job and started, and was so funny. She was like, "I don't really think my numbers are gonna be that high," and she tested, and they were almost as high as mine, and so she was just pleasantly surprised as well, just to see, like, her stiffness really lessened. She felt like she had more energy throughout her day. And so it was just really cool to see like different people who had different, you know, life strategies and different, symptoms and stuff still all have, really positive results.
Yeah,
It's like, If you're on the fence about it, do it.
And it's not just for GI symptoms,
Right.
It's because you're not having classic GI symptom doesn't mean that all is well in your GI tract.
Right.
Most
Right.
of
And I
most
think that's what she thought
Yeah,
too, because she's
right.
like,
And
I
so
don't
many
really
people
have
do.
stomach problems.
Yeah, I'm like that's so because the your gut health is the foundation for everything. I'm just
Yeah.
convinced
Yeah.
of this. Because
Hmm.
I've seen it play out so many times in so many different
Yeah.
ways. What habits, tools, strategies have you continued using? I think you
Hmm.
might have touched on it in
Hmm.
a while ago. But is there anything else that you feel like you're doing or have taken away from
Yeah.
the program?
I've continued my morning walk in the sun. I've pretty much quit wearing sunglasses during this time of the gut job. That was something that, I love just like having sunglasses,
They look
and
cool,
everything.
okay?
I know
Yeah,
they do. They
they
look
look cool.
great. And so now I just use them to like pull my hair
And you
back.
can look and you can like look at people and they don't know you're looking at
Yeah,
them.
they don't know. So I really, I've always had really sensitive eyes. My eyes will like water, and my eyes just have gotten so much more tolerable of just like being outside, and I don't even notice it anymore. So I start my day, my dog and I, we go on a walk outside, and it's more of like a stroll. It's not like I'm going out there trying to like power walk and everything. Historically, my mornings have been like get up, hop on the hamster wheel until the nighttime. You're just going, going. I would work sometimes almost until like right up until I'd shower and go to bed. Like I'd really poor just habits of just like taking care of, myself and like supporting my stress. And so with the gut job, I kind of utilized that to start with some slow mornings. I would wake up more energized, like I said. So I was able to go walk in the sunshine. I'd make my shake. I'd sit. I'd have some quiet time before merging into my day. And it felt like I was more productive and less stressed at the end of the day. And sometimes I'd even, end my day with a walk. I don't do that as much anymore, but I feel like my mornings are always just something that I really try to protect so that I'm in a really good place to go on about my day, and making sure just that I am, decompressing, my stress, even if I'm not feeling stressed, just knowing the environmental toxins and, just the HPA axis. I know that you've shared with me about just how important it is to just, care for that.
Yeah.
So I try to do that a lot differently now than I did in the past.
That's great because that is so important. Next to gut health is your nervous system,
Hmm.
health. And because they're so intertwined.
Hmm.
If you are constantly stressed and have a lot of nervous system dysregulation, living in that
Yeah,
state of fight or flight, or you're just paralyzed, it is
yeah.
absolutely going to impact the way your gut functions. And
Hmm.
so you really have to address both of those. And we try to, do that in the program and encourage you to take steps to do that. And it sounds
Hmm.
like you did.
Yeah,
And that's
yeah.
why you were successful. A lot of people want to just ignore that part, you know?
Sure. They
And
go so hand in hand.
I see it all the time. They just want to take some stuff,
Hmm.
take the supplements and not make those lifestyle changes that are so crucial to your
Yeah,
overall
yeah,
health. And I try to pound that home all the time. It's like you've just got to yeah, slow down at some point.
yeah. Yes.
Your body's going to
Yeah.
respond to that a lot better.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
Good. I'm glad you did that. What do you think that makes this makes this program different from other approaches you've tried? Like you talked about other functional medicine programs or such. What makes this
Hmm.
different from them or from
Hmm.
those?
I think the fact that this is laid out so beautifully, it has a place for you to ask all these questions. And as you go through the questions, some of it's like, oh, I never thought about that. And so it's very helpful to like take ownership of it yourself because you're doing the questions, you're doing the practices, you're taking the supplements and the cooking. And so I feel like it gives you this really great balance of support as well as taking ownership over this process for yourself so that you can continue those things where it doesn't just end at 60 days to say,
Yeah.
okay, that's something I did. Let me just go back and do all the things that I used to do. It's something that really does set you up to have just a true lifestyle change. And I'll go back to just the fact that I love seeing what has been done because it's so easy, I think, as people that we're constantly focused on what is wrong. And so it's like, oh, well, let's just look at this as like a stepping stone process of like, we're on day 45. Let's look at what our day one looked like and be
Yeah.
encouraged at day 45. And if there is still stuff going on, I've learned with myself is that's just an indicator that there's still something in there going on.
Hmm.
It's not that it's not like you're not going to be there forever.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
something that just needs a little more attention.
Yeah. And that's and that's a hard part for a lot of people to accept is that the body takes time to rebalance itself.
Mm,
A lot of people have just ran their bodies into the ground. Not
sure.
maybe not intentionally. Maybe they were taking the advice of people who meant well, but it was just bad advice, and they've tried all these
Hmm.
things and
Yeah.
nothing's worked. And it can just take time. If you will give the body time and be patient, it will heal itself. And
Absolutely.
a lot of people don't realize that it can take up to a year
Hmm.
or more to
Hmm.
rebalance your GI microbiome, especially if
Sure.
you've been taking a lot of antibiotics and other medications that have affected the way
Yeah.
your gut functions. You've been under a lot of stress, whatever it may have
Hmm.
been that has really affected your gut health. It can take a while for it to become optimal again. But that doesn't mean
Yeah.
that you can experience improvement in your
Hmm.
symptoms,
Hmm.
much quicker than a year,
Absolutely.
which you experienced that. Um,
Yeah, definitely.
let's see here. What would you say to someone who is considering the total gut job but is
Mhm.
still on the fence?
Mm. I would encourage them to do it. Just like my mom, she thought she was experiencing this like normal stiffness for her age. And just to see that, like you're really only going to gain more knowledge. You're probably going to gain more healing than you realize. And it really is just something I feel like for longevity, just,
Yeah.
experiencing that in my early 30s and going through that, it's like, I'll probably use a lot of these things for the rest of my life just at different times and different supports and just the practices for sure, you
Mhm.
know, and so yeah, I would say just do it. Like you probably will not regret it. Like I didn't regret an ounce of it.
We have a lot of older people who come to us and they accept so many of their symptoms as just part of the aging process because
Right,
they've been told
right.
that, oh, it's just your
Yeah.
age or it's just your genetics. And so many
Hmm.
times it's just a cop out
Yeah.
from doctor because that's just what we're trained to believe,
Sure.
you know.
Sure.
I know
Sure.
otherwise. And so
Hmm.
we've just surprised a lot of older people because they just thought that that's how it was going to be. And they didn't even
Right.
realize that it didn't have to be that way. They didn't have to have joint
Right.
pain and be
Hmm.
tired and need a nap every day at 2 or 3 o'clock, It's almost like they got this new lease on life after
Yeah.
they did it, and it was
Yeah.
just so wonderful to see that. Um,
Hmm.
so if you could describe and this may be tough, but if you could describe your experience with the total gut job in one sentence, what would it be?
Oh, okay. One sentence. I have like 2 words that came to my head, so
Okay.
I'll just use those,
Yeah.
but foundational and crucial, like both of those.
Yeah. I would agree.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. This is what the total gut job. Yes, we are trying to help you with symptoms, but we're also trying to help you understand the way your body works and make these foundational changes, like you said, that are
Mhm.
crucial
Yeah.
to a wonderful quality of life that everyone can
Yeah.
experience.
Mhm.
It's not just 60 days and you're done. It is like this
Right.
is a way of life.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And if you treat it that way, you're not always you're going to be staying out of the doctor's office. You're not going to be
Yeah.
searching for the latest and greatest supplement to take away this symptom or another. Um,
Right.
Not that things can't come up and happen because they do, but you also
Sure.
understand how to get back on track real quick because you have a
Yeah.
better understanding of what's going on in your body. And you've learned to listen
Absolutely.
to your body
Yeah.
too.
That's been pivotal for me. It's just been, I spent years, trying to figure out what was going on. And, once I got to the gut job, it's like I was able to really see what the plan was. And, going to like what was it, like the 5 R's that it talks about, like the
Yeah.
process. It's like, I don't even remember all of them, but that was really helpful for me to just kind of marinate on to see, okay, this is like what we're doing. And it just felt a little more empowering versus like I was trying to kind of like find my way through it,
Yeah.
which is how it was, for me historically.
It's encouraging to nurture your body in the way that it was designed to be nurtured,
Mm,
you know, and kind of like, we treat your gut like a garden, and that's kind of
mhm,
how you have to think about it, removing what it doesn't need, um, giving it, enriching the soil and the
mhm.
microbiome and making sure it has the nutrients and the hydration and the water and everything for things to grow like they should in it.
Yeah.
And produce good fruit, which, you
Yes.
know, the good fruit is all those wonderful, the way you feel, when you
Hmm.
do that.
Hmm.
Um, what is there anything that people notice about you now after you've been through that
Oh,
process?
that's a good question. I would say probably like my friends and family would notice just my energy levels change. Um, they noticed that I was able to just do more. Like, I didn't get exhausted as quick whenever I was, like, first on it, and, that's something I'm looking forward to having again, just since, recently getting out of, a mold situation. I'm gonna bring in a lot of these tools to just kinda get me back there. So it has been really helpful, or excuse me, hopeful for myself to know that, like, I have gone through healing's, accessible, even just again, and probably a lot shorter because of all the work that has been done in my gut. The garden is still fairly healthy in there.
Yes.
But I would say probably like my energy levels, and just probably a little bit of like the light in my eyes, kind of came back. I wasn't just exhausted continuously.
Yeah. And so you were able to improve while living in a moldy situation.
I had gotten out
Oh,
and then
okay.
started.
Okay. All
Mhm,
right. Okay.
mhm.
Okay.
So it
Okay. I
was
didn't know.
very soon after.
Okay. Good. Good. All right. Well, Haley, that's all the questions I have. Anything else that you want to say about it that we didn't touch
I
on?
would just I know we touched on it a few minutes ago, but I would just like to speak directly to the person who is watching this video wondering if they need to, if they're feeling bad enough to do it. There is no feeling bad enough to do it. It will enrich your life and be a helpful tool to walk through just for the rest of time, no matter how old you are.
Yeah.
It was truly life changing for me. It has gotten me, it was the kickstart truly to my healing. And, now I'm just continuing on and healing more and more in various areas. And it's really just, it was something that gave me my life back in a lot of ways.
That's so awesome to hear.
Hmm.
That I'm so happy for you. And yeah, like you said, this is just the beginning. You'll keep engaging in these wonderful, foundational habits that are crucial, and
Hmm.
you're just going to continue to get better. And
Yeah,
that's what we
absolutely.
see. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
well, thanks so much, Haley. I appreciate your
You're
time.
welcome. Hmm.
You know how to get in touch with us if you need anything. And
Yeah,
again, thank you for doing this. And
absolutely.
reach out anytime that you need our help.
Yes, sounds great. Thank you so much for having me on.
You're welcome. You have a great day.
Thanks, you too.
I
Enjoy
plan on it.
Colorado.
Thank you.
I don't take nothing that a doctor don't prescribe. I just take Paxil, Xanax, Zoloft, Flomax,